And I want to thank him. Let's give him a round of applause. This man has consistently stood for religious freedom, the sanctity of life, and marriage and family. He is running for Senate. Are we going to get behind him this year? Yeah. We're going to get behind him. God bless you, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Heather. This is one of the sunniest days I've seen in a long time looking out over you guys, let me tell you that. The word of the Lord. You are a king then, said Pilate. Jesus answered, you say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of the truth listens to me. What is truth? Retorted Pilate. The first casualty of tyrants and autocrats is truth. Amen. My 15-year-old is reading George Orwell's 1984. You remember the ministry of peace, the ministry of truth, the ministry of love, and the ministry of plenty? Yeah. They were none of those things. They call this a non-discrimination ordinance. I'm here to tell you it's a persecution ordinance. It is my privilege and honor to represent Charlotte in the North Carolina House of Representatives. And if they want to vilify somebody, let them vilify me. In January, when this started, when the mayor had made several announcements since her election that this was going to be at the top of the priority list for the new city council, I wrote and released a lengthy piece asking why Charlotte, why in the world would Charlotte want to follow New York City's example on the ridiculous transgender ordinance they had. But they've insisted on going forward. Sometime after that, I wrote City Council because in my day job, I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing law for 25 years. And I showed them in detail why this ordinance is beyond their power as a city. Cities in North Carolina do not make groundbreaking social policy changes. That's not how it works. Think about the fact that we have a bicameral legislature in Raleigh with 170 members. You cannot take 6 votes and pass some radical social policy change in Raleigh. You have to have 88 votes. You have to have a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate. You have to get through all the committees, and you have to get the signature of the governor. And that's the way it should be, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. This is about freedom. Yes. In 2014, let me tell you just a moment about this ordinance because things escape people's attention when they're focused on other things. The way the public accommodations ordinance in Charlotte reads right now, sex is separated out. Race, religion, creed, national origin, those are in one part, and sex is separated. It says you can't discriminate in public accommodations on the basis of sex, but it makes it certain exemptions that don't apply to the other things. Bathhouses, restrooms, showers are in this other part with sex, so that they're exempted for the obvious reason. And it's been that way since 1985. Well, when they started figuring out how they were going to draft an ordinance change that would satisfy the $30 million a year human rights campaign for people for sexual orientation, and listen to the words, gender identity, but that's not it, gender expression. What does that mean? What's the difference between gender identity and gender expression? Does that mean someone who doesn't identify, as we've been told, as a person of the opposite sex, but they wish to express themselves as a member of the opposite sex, can go in another sex's bathroom? Is that what that means? Well, in order to construct this the way they need it to be, they took sex out of this separate section and they put it in the main section. There are no exemptions any longer. You know who else did that? The legislature of Maine did that. And in 2014, the Supreme Court of Maine decided that public accommodation includes an elementary school. And in an elementary school, a person who has a different gender identity or gender expression gets to go into the bathroom of the opposite gender. That's a policy now throughout Maine. But as these justices on the wise Supreme Court of Maine were writing their opinion, both the concurrence and the dissent noticed, well, sex is in there too. And it says if you can't deny anybody the full enjoyment of a public accommodation on the basis of sex, they were scratching their heads saying this obviously leads in we have another problem coming. It's not just gender identity and gender expression. It says right in the law, you have to let someone who's male go into a female bathroom. That's what it says. I showed them why they can't do what they plan to do. They're going to do it anyway. I can't tell you how pleased I was to see today that Governor McCrory has said what he said. And I can tell you this, when they do what they say they're going to do, if there's a client or several clients who want to sue to invalidate this ordinance, I'm here to help. And if that doesn't work, General Assembly reconvenes in late April. The governor suggested we get to it, and I can guarantee you we will. Thanks very much.